Story 1. My wife, my first love, first partner, and best friend unexpectedly has been cheating on me, absolutely heartbroken. My wife, 28 of 2 years, has done a complete 180 in the past few weeks. She went from someone who was loving, focused on starting a family, and completely trustworthy to someone who has lied, deceived me, and blames me for her infidelity. It all started 3 weeks ago. I was riding high. I thought our relationship was going great. We were talking about getting another dog and our honeymoon plans, since COVID wrecked the initial plans. Then Friday hit. I could sense something was up and even mentioned it to my mother on the phone. "I don't know what's going on, I just have a bad feeling about my wife," I said. Then that night she texts me, "I just need some space tonight, I know you won't like it but please respect my decision." She then proceeded to turn off her phone and she says she's left in her car in a vacant lot. When she came home I was understanding but stern that this sort of thing could never happen again, but she had completely changed her mindset on life itself. No kids, career-focused, and wanted out of the relationship. The most telling thing she said was, "I fear that we will cheat on each other in the future." What? Who says something like that, completely out of the blue? Many things happened since then, including her leaving the state for 2 weeks because she needed space. Last night I found that she had spent the night at her instructor's house after going to a movie theater. I also found a picture of the two of them. The worst part is, I was the one who has encouraged her in this career and she never would have met the guy if I didn't introduce them. I have yet to confront her, but I am currently putting all the puzzle pieces together about this whole situation. She is basically blaming me for all these issues that we are suddenly dealing with, saying she doesn't like the way I talk to her, I'm controlling, and I call her names. I have done deep soul searching these past few weeks to try and understand what I could have done to cause this, but her accusations are unfounded. I encouraged her to get mental health, which in her mind equated to calling her names. I stressed the importance of communication when she shut off her phone, but she says that is controlling, even though I didn't stop her from spending 3+ weeks away from home. Finally, she has these recordings of me, without my knowledge, and thinks that they are proof that I mentally abuse her. I played these for my counselor and he disagreed that there was any sort of abuse in the recordings and was actually impressed with how calm and collected I was in the discussion. Anyways, none of these things are excuses for cheating and the way she has been treating me. I guess I am at the investigation stage still, trying to let her make her own choices and I'll gather the data. It's tough though, and the person I once loved more than anything has completely wrecked our entire life together in 3 short weeks. I am at a loss for words how I feel right now. I've got a great support system and loving parents, but now I know how heartbreak feels and I never want to feel this way again. TLDR, my wife of 1.5 years has been cheating on me with her flight instructor. I've done some deep soul searching and realized that it's because I didn't emotionally give in when she pleaded to take out a $50,000 loan so she could pursue an aviation career. Obviously Mr. Instructor gave in to her emotional side and I have evidence of the affair now. Update on me. I had a very rough weekend and it was tough being alone and without family present to help heal, but I had some great phone conversations with friends and family who are all incredibly angry at her selfish actions. I'm down almost 10 pounds, having a hard time eating, and it is tough to get out of the bed in the mornings. However, I am keeping myself busy by working out and playing with my dog a lot. The first time I actually broke down was when she asked what we should do with our dog. He's been my only consoling partner through it all and I can't see him with her. One of the things that really helped was to see people angrier than me when I told them about the affair. All in all, I'm actually doing well and I understand it's all part of the grief process. It helps to know that I value myself, know that it's not my fault, and to not compare myself to the other guy. She is coming home this week with her parents to take her stuff out of the house. She already said she wants out of the marriage. I do too. I still have yet to confront her about the affair and I am racking my brain trying to think of the words and place to say it. Do I do it in front of her parents? Do I do it with her alone? Do I spill out my heart or do I say a simple, "I know what you are doing"? Ultimately it is up to me and my decision, but what has worked, not worked in the past for everyone here. Edit. We are not in an at-fault state. So this is my third update about the situation. I want to thank everyone here for helping immensely. I was alone for weeks, but this sub has really helped me out and it has been very helpful to follow the advice of everyone here. TLDR. Finally had a discussion with my wife, but she insisted her parents be in the room. We talked and she was nasty to me and showed not one bit of remorse or empathy even when I broke down spilling my heart out to her. The next day she went to my house. I finally was able to be alone with her. I confronted her about the inappropriate relationship. She again got her parents involved and her mom defended the affair with ridiculous excuses. Currently no contact with her, but I have seen a change. Read more at end. The shift has happened. I went 180 on her after I found out about the affair, and she has started to flounder. Her parents came in town last Wednesday and I finally was able to get her to have a discussion with me. I decided against revealing the affair with her parents in the room, but I caught her in multiple lies in our discussion. My tone was calm and very apologetic for the things she accused me of. The discussion was very hurtful as she was essentially saying ever since the day we got married I haven't treated her right and she has wanted out. She never mentioned this to me our entire relationship until now. She continued to accuse me of essentially emotionally abusing her by twisting my words from our previous discussions, and luckily my mother was there and my mom ended up calling her out on her lies, because my mom was in some of those discussions she was referencing. The two biggest things that kept me strong through that discussion were 1. Not expecting any sort of reconciliation or remorse. 2. Having a plan of attack for the encounter. My goals in that discussion were twofold. Publicly, in front of her parents, reveal how childish and mentally unfit she is when she is making these wild accusations while protecting my character. Stress to her father the need to get her to a therapist or counselor and have her work on her issues. The discussion ended with my wife storming out of the room with her mother and the father stayed behind with me and my mom. His emotions were genuine and very telling about the whole situation. He sat there and the first words out of his mouth were a tearful, "I'm sorry, man," a father looking for answers as well. He told me this hurts right now because he considers me his son, and I always will. This obviously made me very emotional as I told him, "I love your daughter and I just want her to be healthy, but at this point I just need to let her go." I told him about the affair and what I knew, and he understood where I was coming from. I stressed the need for her to have consequences for her actions as she has had none so far. Even further I stressed the need for her to see a therapist. He said he agreed and that he has been trying to get her to go, to no avail. Because of my two goals above, even though this discussion was not all peaches, it satisfied what I went there to do and I actually felt much better knowing that I had a father-in-law who understands what is going on. Then the next day came. I went home from work and my wife was moving some of her things out of the house. I wanted to be there so that I could make sure she didn't steal anything of mine. I actually fixed a part on her car and we had a calm talk about her future plans, etc. She told me she was going to keep working. For how much time she has left the job, I can't believe they are keeping her around. She said she is going to try and earn her ratings and wants to become a flight instructor. Wonder why? LOL. I asked where she was going to live. She said, an RV park, and my parents are going to give me their RV. At this point I told her, I just don't understand why you are doing all this, it doesn't make any sense. She said, I'm just so happy at the place where she works. I then asked, I just want to know, are you having an inappropriate relationship with AP? Wouldn't look me in the eye and said, no, of course not. I told her I knew and had evidence. I mentioned a couple of events. What were you doing last Wednesday night? Who did you talk to for 90 minutes at 11 p.m. when you were at a bachelorette party in June? I then showed her one call record and she actually openly showed me it was AP's number in her phone by typing it out, haha. She kept deflecting the accusation. I didn't have sex, check my vodic. I don't even like sex. She does. He works weird hours. I had a question about flying. I stayed strong and calm and told her it gets easier if she tells the truth. I was witnessing a 28-year-old woman acting like a child who was just caught in a lie. The real kicker came when she asked if I wanted to get her parents involved. I questioned why she would do that, but I said okay. Immediately, before I even showed any evidence, her mom starts making excuses for her daughter. Maybe it was a dare call. This was already after you were having problems, isn't it? No, it wasn't. I calmly said to her mother, can you look at this objectively and tell me there was no inappropriate relationship going on? Her mom refused to answer and said I was trying to manipulate her into saying something just like I manipulated her daughter. When they ran out of excuses, all three of them stormed out of my house and her mom said, I hope you don't treat the next girl like you did my daughter, and then literally said, mic drop. Lol. What a screwed up family dynamic. Her dad said nothing the whole time, and I could see he is absolutely beside himself in dealing with both of them. Eventually, my wife sent a text to me saying AP is one of my very best friends. I was really hurting, and we were separated at the time. No, we weren't. Basically admitting to the cheating. She said she wants to talk with me about it with her lawyer in the room. I told her that I wouldn't recommend getting lawyers involved seeing as she has committed multiple felonies by recording me without my consent. I haven't talked to her since Thursday, but the dynamics of the situation have been hugely shifted, and I couldn't have done it without the help of everyone on here. The last thing I mention, and it is probably pretty helpful in terms of where to go next. I noticed Sunday morning she went to church. She hasn't gone with me in a while, but we used to go all the time, and then took about a 500-mile drive to nowhere and then went back to her Airbnb. She hasn't had any suspicious activity, either out of caution now or realization of her transgressions. I do actually believe the fact that she didn't have sex, but it doesn't matter because I already have enough info, and don't need any more. I have already filed for divorce and she will be getting served within a week or two. 2 questions for how to handle the no contact. I would like to stay civil. I have been no contact, but should I reach out to her to have a discussion about our assets? I would like to, and I think she might be capable of a civil discussion. It would benefit both of us in lawyer fees and costs. If you have seen some of my previous posts, you might see that I think there is definitely some sort of mental illness with her, as she has suffered multiple serious traumas in her past. If she ends up apologizing at some point or changes her behavior, how can I go about getting her help while also protecting myself? She currently has healthcare through my job. Without it, she will not have healthcare. I have been no contact with my STBXW since about Thursday the 5th of August, basically 2 weeks. Since this time she has been served the divorce paperwork and responded via her lawyer. However, yesterday she tried contacting me notifying me she knew how I found out about the affair. I did not and have not done anything illegal to catch her, and it must be driving her crazy that I have been no contact and she doesn't know how much info I know. She then threatened me, basically saying that if I don't tell her she will call the police. My commander, I'm in the military. This is a hollow threat because I have nothing to hide and I know it. However, I am concerned that she would mention this because I really don't want my career affected by this malicious person. I've contacted my lawyer and will give him a call later today asking how to proceed. This morning she sent another message asking for $1,000 for spousal support as well. I think she is trying to scare me into giving her money, but I know she is working a job and they are paying her currently. I also know she is staying at the house of the man she cheated on me with. Anyways, I'm staying strong. Gray rock when contact is necessary and no contact everywhere else. I seriously think she may be a sociopath who feels absolutely no remorse about what she did and is frustrated that she has been caught in multiple lies. It also may just be the anger stage of grief as well. It all helps me to forget her faster and realize I'm better off without her. Story 2. I, 26 years old, think my wife, 25 years old, is or was cheating on me with her cousin. TLDR. Discovered wife's cousin sending sex offers to her. Her story checked out, but I'm having serious doubts on her honesty now. Update below original post. Alright, it's a long one so bear with me. This situation happened about 2 weeks ago and I've gone from fully trusting her to deeply doubting her. My wife and I met when I was 19 and we fell in love quite quickly. She had a 4-month-old child from a previous relationship. That father hasn't been in the picture since I've known her. Ever since I was a kid I wanted to be a father, but I have a genetic disorder I don't wish to pass on, so adoption was just great with me. Anyhow, we've been just like your normal family every day since then. We got married last year. She was never super close with her family, but she did have a pair of cousins she was always kind of close to, and I had lots of fun getting to know them and they seemed like decent people. She did mention that one of them, Max we'll call him, had when they were like 12 and 13 tried to kiss her but she ran off. I asked her if she ever told anyone and she said she chalked it up to him being a stupid kid. We see him on Christmas every year and he seems like a normal dude. I actually liked him as her family is a bunch of stuffed shirts and he's down to earth. Recently they've reconnected and gone to a few family functions. We own one car and since I needed it for work he picked her up and drove her to these things. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary about this, they are cousins after all. Her behavior really didn't make any obvious changes. However, randomly as I was watching TV one night she came in and mentioned that I had friended a girl from my place of work. I accepted a friend request. We're a pretty open couple and things don't usually offend us. For instance, she'll remark on an attractive guy and make some sort of lewd remark and I think nothing of telling her this woman was the new office. She didn't accuse me of cheating but it felt like she was about to, which has never happened before. The reason I mention this is because I've read cheater accuse their partner as a projection or something. Anyway, these family outings were legit. The whole family posts pics on them on Facebook and the wife sends pics from the outings. There were 2 of these events and each time wife came home and was like a robot. Sex seemed normal if not quieter than usual, but as she suffers from depression she often gets cold every so often, and when I asked her if she was doing alright she chalked it up to that. Well, 2 weeks ago she leaves for work and as it was my day off I puttered around the house, dropped the boy off at school and came home to check my email. On Facebook I saw that I had a message from her cousin. He and I had recently discussed going out to see a farm team baseball game and I thought he was getting back to me. The message reads, "I'd like to see you on your knees." I was confused as hell until I realized that my wife was still signed in and it was her he was talking to. I wanted to kill him. I instantly rushed and read through their chat log and it's filled with him creeping on her, and while she is saying things like, "But I'm married. And no, I'm married. These read like very thin no's, like she is saying no because she has to, not because she wants to. I'm disgusted and absolutely floored about it. But since none of them mention anything happening yet and she is denying him, albeit kindly, I can't exactly say she's cheating. Well, when she gets home and our son is put to bed, I confront her over the situation. She instantly breaks down into hysterics and tears, saying things like, "I didn't do anything, I didn't know how to tell you. I was just hoping he stopped." Now she and I both suffered childhood sexual abuse from family friends. We've both went to years of therapy for it, and for that reason we have very good communication skills when it comes to comfort and boundaries and how to express ourselves about unwanted advances. I love her, and I wanted to believe her and that he was just being a creep, but the way she didn't tell me and acted seemingly normal leads me to believe something else was going on. I told her that I believed her and asked her if I could message him to tell him to back off and how disgusted I am that they are cousins, or if she would prefer to tell him and handle it herself. She first expressed that she would tell him that I knew and not to call her, but her resolve cracked as she was confident this would just stop. I was furious about that but didn't express it and told her that knowing she wasn't going to, I was going to give him a peace of mind. This is my wife. If she's being harassed, I will end it, and if she's not being harassed, she's cheating on me. So I messaged him. He saw it but made no reply. The wife says I should have let her handle the situation, and I told her there was no way I was going to keep quiet in the face of this. She seemed to understand and expressed in the end that I was probably right to confront him because she didn't know how. All seemed to return to normal, but 3 days later I come home and she's crying. I ask her what's wrong and she said, "It's Max, you should have let me handle it. I messaged him yesterday and he won't talk to me." We had the conversation again about me not sitting idly by when somebody is harassing my wife. She gave me a look. It wasn't much and it was only for a second, but it gave me the impression that she didn't consider it harassment. We end the discussion in agreement that I handled it how any man would handle it. 2 days later I'm coming to bed late, like 2 a.m., as I was finishing up some work. I hear her on the phone with somebody kind of chuckling. This is not normal. Told me it was her mom and had something to do with our kid's birthday, which I didn't buy. But at this point, I've begun playing stupid so I can observe the situation from a place where she feels comfortable. The next day she is crying again, and at this point I've really had it. She's been unstable for 2 weeks now. When I ask her if this is about Max again, she says she tried to call and apologize for not handling the situation herself and that he still isn't talking to her. I admit it, I snapped. I told her that either he was abusing her or she was cheating on me and I caught them. Won the couch tonight, obviously. I wanted to believe her, but I'm not a moron. I'm essentially laying here with my finger on the button waiting for some solid truth, because if this is what it's feeling more and more like, I'm about to go 95,000 megaton nuclear on the both of them. Sorry for the length, I just don't know what I can do from here on out. Edit. Thanks for all the input. She goes to work in 6 hours. I will apologize for my outburst and ask her to sit down with me and talk tonight. It's Sunday and our son typically stays the night with my parents every other Sunday. I'm not proud of it, but I feel it's in my best interest to do a snooping. If I find nothing, we will discuss what happened when it started, what I can do to help her, and what we ought to do moving forward. I love her, and the idea that she is being harassed by somebody who is supposed to love her breaks my heart. However, if I do find something sordid, or learn that she was complicit in any way, I am done with the relationship that instance. I don't believe in marriage counseling in instances of infidelity, and even if I did incest, there is no way I could look at her the same again. Will update. Update, so I didn't sleep at all last night, and when she woke up I made breakfast. I told her I shouldn't have blown up and that we should probably sit down tonight and talk about things. She agreed like she wasn't even upset, to begin with, and said she knew she had probably been acting badly. I told her that the sort of harassment she was dealing with was infinitely more difficult because he is a member of the family. She just seemed to agree with me. I wasn't going to snoop, but so many people on here told me I ought to, and not wanting to be accused of not taking the advice I asked for, I decided to go through with and check her emails. With the way she was acting this morning, I had fewer reasons to be suspicious, but at this point what the heck, and did just that. The level of disgust, hatred, and anger I feel cannot be expressed right, and there will be a divorce. There was one email entitled Yummy, and upon opening it I found a picture of her cousin with semen on his face. The back and forths are him describing to her his encounters with random gay men. They make reference to past sexual encounters they've had together, complete with one picture of a strap-on dildo captioned, "I still have our old friend." Then I read some absolutely disgusting filth talk between them where she is behaving in a very dominating way and insulting his penis size. Looking at the dates I realized that this was from a year ago. As I continue to read I'm able to figure out, at least from how it reads, that they used to hook up frequently but stopped after we got married. We were together for several years before we got married. Later she starts using the "I'm married" excuse, But it's reading like that's just a kink of his, to be told he can't touch her anymore, which he probably does. I'm raising her fucking kid and she does this to me. I've wasted the last 6 years changing my work schedule and not taking better paying jobs because I need hours where I'm able to watch him. I went outside and sat on the front porch, called my brother over, and after explaining to him the entire situation asked him to take my gun from me for the time being. I'm not a violent person, I never have been, but in the state I'm in now I'm fluctuating between wanting to kill him and wanting to kill myself. I'm not going to, but I feel like I'm headed for a breakdown and I can't trust I'll behave rationally. After this I'm packing up my clothes and checking into a hotel. These conversations have all been printed, I've sent copies to myself, and when I have time I'm digging for more dirt. Bought a pack of cigarettes, stopped smoking 4 years ago. Enjoy. I have to make an appointment at some STD clinic because according to these fucking vile back and forths, a part of his thing is having unprotected sex with these men. My soon-to-be ex-wife has a device and as such I've never once in all these years worn protection with her. So now I apparently have months of biting my fucking nails to look forward to, as I understand AIDS tests take months. I know his work schedule roughly because I used to work for the same company he does, so maybe before checking in and composing myself I'm just going to drive down to see his wife, evidence in hand. There's no fixing this, there's no therapy, no hope, nothing positive, and I don't care to even entertain an apology. I'm divorcing the whore and she will get nothing. I hate life right now. I don't feel depressed or sad, I haven't cried. I just have this hot ball of rage in my chest that the cigarettes only briefly cool. I can't be near her or him. I know I said I'm not violent, but man, I really want to beat the piss out of both of them. Edit 1, reposted from r/relationship advice as some suggested I posted here, plus I guess I needed a specific username for a throwaway account, and this is a throwaway account. Edit 2, my stepson is not a product of incest. He and his bio father look exactly alike and he had to take a paternity test to establish child support. When it was established he was the father, he vanished and has only been heard from once in the last 4 years. The last couple of days have been a regular roller coaster for me. TLDR version of my original post, I essentially discovered that my wife is and has been cheating on me with her own cousin Max for years. Actually, by the length of time this seems to have been going on, it might as well be seen as her cheating on him with me. Okay, I went to a lawyer initially and after that I went straight to Max's home where I spoke with his wife. She was broken-hearted as one might expect and disgusted over the incest. We sat down for a bit and I told her also that he was bragging to my wife about how he was having unprotected sex with random internet men and that there were pictures with him with semen on his face that he was sending my wife. She insisted on seeing them despite my advice not to, and she was broken. He was bisexual and was always found to be chatting up random guys. She said she allowed him to go out every so often and see a man if he felt he had to get it out of his system, as she put it. She was under the impression that he hadn't done this in well over a year. When this was over I stayed the night in a hotel where I still am and talked with my mother, brother, and father. My mill called me begging me to come and talk about this, that I must have made some mistake. It's all voicemail, I never picked it up. Wife tried calling me a dozen or so times, I didn't answer. She sent no texts. I assume she knows I've been documenting things and doesn't want to give me any more ammo. It's what I would do in her place. At the end of the day I called her and kept it brief, saying I would talk to her the next day. When I eventually came home she was a warbling mess. She tried to hug me and I told her that's over. She insisted she never cheated on me, that I must have took something the wrong way and that Max's wife must be spreading these rumors because they hate each other. It is at this point that I realize that my wife thinks I heard about this from someone else. She doesn't know I discovered their affair myself. It's then that I show her the papers. I have the pics of him with semen on his face titled Yummy. The picture of a huge strap and dildo titled Our Old Friend. Her speaking to him as if she is some dominatrix type, saying how he has a small dick and real power play type stuff. At points she was telling him to send pics of himself after these men were done with him. Real stomach churning shit. I'm not a prude either. I engage in a lot of really kinky shit, so it's not like she's dealing with an uptight hubby who isn't open sexually and went out for those reasons. But anyway, as soon as she realizes that it was me who discovered this and told Max's wife, she goes from being weepy and sad to explosively angry, complete hysterics. You should have talked to me first. She's all over everything, telling everyone. This is going to ruin me. You knew she would do this? I told him to stop texting me like that. At that last statement I absolutely exploded. I told her that I just got done reading a year's worth texts and emails and not once did she ever tell him to stop. I called her a fucking degenerate, said that we both probably have AIDS now, and she crumpled in on herself. Couldn't respond, just crying hard. Even still I told her that we were getting divorced. I then called her father and told him to come to my house because she really shouldn't be alone in that state. I returned to my hotel room and saw that Max's wife had been texting me. She had done some intense digging on her own and found discussions about sexual encounters they had from 2010, on fucking MySpace. She told me early on in our relationship that he once tried to kiss her at 13. Well, they were actually fucking at 16 or 15 or during a time where MySpace was still widely being used. I'll admit it, this seeing it went on that far back was finally what broke me. I'm not big on emotional displays, but I broke down crying in front of his wife. She cried too. When that was over, I took her to the lawyer I'm seeing, and now one of his partners will be handling her divorce. Through all this, Max has been panicking and crying, trying to find out where his wife is, trying to talk to me, still after all this evidence, trying to ensure this is all some big misunderstanding. It turns out that Max and ex-wife live in a house owned by Max's parents, and they have come down hard against their son, telling him he cannot stay there anymore, and apologizing to their dill and saying she's welcome to stay with their grandchild in that house for as long as she wants. He's basically disowned. Max's father even got it in his head somehow that Max was molesting my wife as a child, and that is why she is doing what she is doing today. She is his favorite niece, basically a second daughter, so Max in effect is on the lam because his old man wants him dead. My father, unprompted and wanting to help me, assured me he'd pay my hotel for the week. Today I told my boss point blank, no filter, exactly what's happened and that I am taking 2 weeks to sort my life out. He remarked about how shitty his divorce was and told me to take whatever time I needed bottle fed, and that he'll just tell everyone on the floor I've got a sick parent or something, which was sweet of him, lying down in my hotel room now missing a stepson I'll probably never see again. I raised him for 6 years, changed his diapers, bottle fed him at 3 a.m., took time out of work when he was sick. Waited on him hand and foot after a nasty fall that broke his arm so his mother could sleep because she was working in the morning. The rest of this world could burn away to fucking ash and I wouldn't blink or care, but the thought of never seeing him again rips away at me like nothing else. I need therapy, gonna take a hell of a lot of talking to get through this. I'm not a suicide risk, so no worries there. I'm an atheist, so this is the only life I got. If I end at that, I'll sit lol. Talking to my lawyer on the phone later, and we'll be meeting up with Max's SO again because apparently there's more I don't know. Got a doctor's appointment tomorrow and then 6 damn months of waiting for results. Thanks for the support everyone. If more develops I'll do another update. Story 3. I caught my ex-wife cheating when I tried to surprise her. It was Labor Day weekend in 2021. My then wife was in Texas for training in the Air Force. We both were in. We lived in Ohio at the time. During her training, she would call the kids, 7 and 3 at the time, and me every day and stay on the phone for a long time just talking about anything. Then suddenly she started talking less and less. Still daily, but only 2 minutes if that. She would say that she had to study for tests. Then she started missing days completely. After the 3rd time, I called her later and asked what was going on. She was utterly wasted, extremely drunk on the phone. I got mad and hung up. The next day, she says she needs space, like I'm the bad guy here? We barely talked for 2 weeks after that. To backtrack a bit. We married when I was 25, she was 23. Dating for 4 years before that. When we were dating, she went to visit her friend in California. Her friend married a Marine and moved there. Well, during that time, she was also going to meet a guy she had never met. Someone her friend wanted to set her up with. So for the entire 2 weeks, she was cheating on me. So we broke up for about a year. I connected back with her again, and we got back together. About 2 years later, I got married. During our marriage, she completely changed. She denied me intimacy and affection. When she rejected me, I would naturally get upset. I would say mean things to remind her of what she did because I knew it would hurt her. Fast forward, we had 2 children. Our marriage went on with hardly any intimacy or affection from her. I would ask her to kiss me. After our 2nd child, we were pretty much roommates. I was extremely depressed, and it was difficult to get out of bed and do anything. I realized I wasn't the father I wanted to be, not the husband, and sought mental health. So back to the time after we started to stop talking after our argument. I thought the spark had been missing in our relationship, and I blamed myself for my depression and anxiety. So I got a babysitter for the long weekend. She had mentioned that she wanted to get away and go camping by herself. So I took it as an opportunity to surprise her so we could spend the weekend alone, just trying to get our love back to what it was before marriage. I went to her hotel on base and talked to the hotel staff beforehand to let them know I wanted to surprise her. They were okay with it after I showed proof of who I was. I got an extra key card, went into her room before she returned from training, and was going to surprise her when she came in. When I got into her room, I saw a large box of condoms on her nightstand, Many empty alcohol bottles in the trash, and her counters. I also saw her wedding ring in her bathroom on the counter as if the ring was stored there. I was devastated and in shock at what I saw. I hid in the closet, and when she arrived, I jumped out and said surprise. I just was still in disbelief that this was happening. Her response was, "You're not supposed to be here." Then she locked herself in the bathroom. She texted a school friend, a girl, to come. The friend rushed to her room as if it seemed like I was hurting her. To be clear, I had never raised a hand or even got close to it. Her friend left, and she came out of the bathroom. I demanded an explanation. All she could say was, "I'm sorry." It wasn't in an apologetic way, more of an "I'm sorry you had to find out this way." I left immediately, took a car to the airport, and bought the first ticket home. I could only do the bare minimum for my kids the entire weekend because I was crushed. Monday rolled around, I called, and she said she wanted a divorce. I was just in disbelief and agreed without a discussion. The only thing I could manage to get out was, "I'm taking the kids and moving back home." I was medically retiring from the military before she would return from training. Her response was, "Okay, can you take the dogs too?" After we split and I moved back, I did some digging. I checked our bank account and saw thousands of dollars at bars and other places being spent by her during the time she was in training while telling us she was studying. I also checked the phone records. I couldn't see the messages, but I could see one number that kept coming up all day, every day, back and forth. That ended up being the guy she was cheating on me with. No surprise. We finalized our divorce in February of this year without fighting. Since then, she has skipped her time with her kids twice to go on mini vacations with this guy. He lives in DC. 7 hours away from her. We live in MO, 6 hours from her. In our divorce agreement, she can come to see the kids whenever she wants during the week if she clears it with me first. She just did that for the first time 2 weeks ago. Since February, that is the only time she has done that. When she calls the kids, and they see she is in the car or at a place they don't recognize, they ask her where she is. She admits she is with her new BF. She drives or flies to see him instead of the kids. Last Thursday, she called me and said she messed up, missed the kids and me, and wanted to get back together. I tell her that she has to agree to go through her therapy and marriage counseling. It sounded like things were going to get better. 2 days later, she sent me a message telling me that she wasn't going to do any of that. This guy makes her so happy, and she is now engaged to this guy. My life was crushed again. The entire year I have constantly been crying and lying in bed. Thank God for my family because I couldn't do this without them. I just feel so worthless. I can't connect with anyone I try and date because I am numb now and have commitment issues. I can't find a job, and I bought a house that I now have tapped into my savings to start paying for. I constantly have morbid thoughts of being better off dead. Then I hate myself more for thinking that because I have 2 amazing kids to care for. I feel like nothing can go right, and I'm going to lose my kids, my house, and eventually myself. I have been talking to a therapist, but IDK if I feel any different. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm not sure what I'm looking for here, but I thought maybe if I got my story out there, it would have some kind of relief. 6-month update, I caught my ex-wife cheating, when I tried to surprise her. Progress. Hello everyone, this is an update I caught me. Ex-wife cheating, when I tried to surprise her. I tried very hard to resist. I did. In January of this year, she messaged me asking to get back together. She and the other guy broke up. She called the kids and apologized for not being the mom they needed and spending all her free time with the other guy. She also told them we were getting back together without me saying we were. I told her that she needed to seek therapy and many other things. This is the 3rd time she has done this. She even reached out to my family and apologized to them. The kids and I were going to Slick City the following weekend, and they asked her to come. I am trying to remember if she had said she would or not. Friday rolls around, and she tells them she isn't feeling well and won't be coming in. They are okay with it. When we arrived in the parking lot on Saturday, the kids wanted to call her again. We all video chat her, and she is totally fine. She was walking into a restaurant all dressed up. In the background, we hear the other guy's voice. We all were pissed off, and my oldest hung up on her. 2, maybe 3 weeks later, she calls, crying and apologizing. She is asking for me back again. Is the 4th time a charm? She explains she broke up with him again because he is so controlling. She tells me that he has all her passwords and a key to her house, they joined bank accounts, and she is deep in debt because he has maxed out her credit card after he maxed 2 of his. She said he told her he was flying to see her and that she better be there to pick him up, or he was Ubering to her house. I told her to change her locks and stay at a friend's house. Later, she calls, says she got the locks changed, and is driving to her parents' house, 6 hours away, in the same town I live in. She asks if she can have lunch with me the next day. I stupidly agree. I then let her have dinner with the kids and me that night. Then I let her stay the night. No sex though. I felt like everything was going great. It seemed like we were a happy family again. She leaves Sunday, then drives back Wednesday for her weekend. She stays over again. I know, I can see all the frustration brewing. Things were not going great this time. She seemed very distant. Her communication was not as sweet as the previous weekend, and she barely said anything. She kept asking me if I thought we could do this. I was getting frustrated because I could see that she was pulling away. I told her this road would be extremely long and filled with counseling and therapy. I told her we needed not to spend overnights together either and letting the kids see us together so much making them think everything was fine. She ghosted me all day Friday, then finally called crying and said she didn't want to try to work things out. I asked her if she was going back to the other guy. Her tears immediately went away, and she became furious, saying that he was much better than me in every way and that she never wanted to see or speak to me again. It was such a quick and odd behavior change when I calmly asked her a question. It was such a bizarre lash out and choice of words too. My son comes home with a new phone from her, and I see she has a new phone number. It looks like she is also under the other guy's phone plan. I bet there is something on the phone so he has more control over her. I don't know why I do this to myself. More importantly, I don't know why I put my kids through it. I am still seeing my therapist and told him about it. I thought I was getting better but was sucked right back into the circus. A few weeks after, I saw my next door neighbor on a dating app. I jokingly swiped, and we matched immediately, to my surprise. I told her that I was shocked and wasn't serious about matching. She made it very clear that she was interested in me. She is gorgeous and has always been pleasant to my kids and me. We started dating. I made her fully aware of everything I had been through. She was okay with it but, of course, worried about me going back again. I am too. I'm confident to say no the next time the ex asks to get back together. This new girl is great and highly understanding. She is very interested in wanting to know everything I'm into and trying them if she is not. She hasn't been trying to push me fast into something either. I mentioned that she was already great with my kids before we were dating, but I was not ready to let them see us in a different way than just being neighbors. I told them about a month or more later, and they thought it was an excellent idea. My time with her is helping me become a better version of myself. I'm starting to care about how I look more, completing DIY projects around the house, and, most importantly, playing with my kids more. Edit. I am fully aware of how this makes me look like I am falling for the same BS again. I am seeing a therapist about it and trying to regain my confidence and self-worth. Edit 2. She went away for training in June 2021, I caught her in September 2021 and we were separated then. Divorce was February 2022. Edit 3. We use a co-parenting app to communicate. All other communication is blocked. Story 4. Wife spent the night with another man. Sorry for the long post, I will try to make this as short as I can while giving as much relevant information as possible. I've never posted on Reddit before but I've been lurking since this happened. I'm hoping hearing some words of advice or support might help. It's been about 3 weeks since D-Day when I found out my WW of 20 years cheated on me when she had a night out drinking with some colleagues from her previous workplace. We are both in our 40s. So far I've not found it any easier to function with the feelings I have and still feeling physically unwell with headaches, stomach discomfort, tight chest, short of breath. Backstory. We recently sold our house to move closer to the city and teenage kids' school. Our relationship hadn't been very good for a while and we were both not treating each other very nice and had agreed to separate for a bit with a view to reset our marriage while my wife rented with the kids and I chose to stay with her father. One of the kids actually asked why we were separating and was it because of cheating and my wife told them no, if something like that happened we wouldn't be planning on getting back together. The plan was to buy another house within 6 months and move back in together. It was after 2 months apart, although still seeing each other almost every day, that this happened. During this time I worked hard on myself and did all I could to make our relationship better, taking her out on dates, inviting to go for walks, tidying her house, cooking dinners etc. That night I kissed my wife goodbye as she left and told her to have a fun time. I stayed home with the kids. She ended up coming home around 5 a.m., hungover, and I took care of her. She told me they all went back to one of her colleagues' house and she ended up asleep on the couch. From the way she was acting after that night my intuition told me something had happened. It took a couple of nights but she eventually come clean, because I kept asking questions. She told me if I hadn't have kept asking she would never have told me because it meant nothing and she knew how hurt I would be. When she came clean, she told me that after she had been dropped back off at home around midnight, instead of coming inside, she called her colleague and asked if he wanted her to come around for sex, and he agreed. She walked into his house, they kissed and undressed while making their way to his bedroom, but stopped before having sex because she felt sick and knew what she was doing was wrong. He also has a girlfriend that was away for the night. She ended up laying naked with him all night and got up and left in the morning. I'm told they did nothing else. I know how ridiculous and unbelievable that sounds, and obviously my trust is gone, and I didn't accept that and thought she was just trying to minimize. But after many conversations so far, I think maybe she might be telling me the truth, not that it makes much difference. She laid this out all at once and the story hasn't changed, she hasn't trickled any more details. She acknowledges the fact that she had every intention of sex and that not having sex doesn't make it any better. After I found out, she was very remorseful, guilty, knows how hurt I am, and is certain she wants to reconcile and be with me. She admitted there was no seduction involved on his part and that it was entirely her decision to do this, and she can't give me any explanation as to why she did it. She says she doesn't expect the AP will try contacting her again and that she will tell and show me if he does. She has never tried making excuses or justifying and says nothing like this has happened before and assures me never again. We've always had access to each other's phones and are always checking locations to find the kids, etc., and nothing has raised any suspicions in the past. I'm so broken and can't make sense of my feelings. I never reacted angrily towards her and have decided to move back in now to start R because I felt so alone and was afraid I might hurt myself sitting alone every night with no one to talk to. I was clear that if there was anything else she needed to tell me about, then I needed to know now and not find out later. Once again, she told me nothing else had happened. I never thought I would be willing to stay together if this ever happened to me, but now it's real. It's not such an easy decision to make. Nobody else knows what has happened and the only support I have is from my WW. She has organized CC, which begins in a couple of weeks. I'm thinking now though moving back in has made her think I'm feeling better, and I get the feeling she has already begun to move on while I'm feeling no better about myself at all. We talked about it a lot to begin with in the first couple of weeks, but now she's told me she doesn't want to keep talking about it because she hates what she did and doesn't want to keep remembering. I've agreed not to bring it up all the time until we start CC. Once again, I feel I'm working to make things better and I'm not getting as much from her despite how badly she wants us to work things out. I'm the one that's been betrayed and thinks she should still be trying to show me how sorry she is. I'm very confused and don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get over this. I still can't go more than several minutes without thinking about what she did and replaying it all in my head. I didn't think she was capable of doing anything like this. I don't love her any less and I want to be able to forgive and trust again. She tells me she wants to be with me because she loves me, but I'm afraid it's more to do with the kids and convenience. She has told me she understands if I feel the need to tell anyone else about what's happened, but I think that will just add to my shame and humiliation. Happy to hear any thoughts or advice to help me through how I'm feeling right now. Story 5. My beloved wife cheated on me and my daughter isn't mine. How can I move forward as well as shake angry feelings? This is going to be a long one. My wife and I were married for 21 years. I figured it was one of those miracle marriages because we barely argued, seemed I always be the best of friends, etc. Well, our 15-year-old daughter received a 23andMe thing for her birthday from a friend. And of course, it said we weren't related. She had me do a swab as well as her mother and her 14-year-old brother. Only her brother and I seemed to be related. So I did a paternity test afterwards and lo and behold, she wasn't my fucking child. My ex-wife cried and pleaded for me to hear her out, but I just went numb to her. It would be one thing to cheat, but to find out the light of my life isn't even related to me killed me. Don't get me wrong, I love my daughter with all of my heart. She's still my daughter no matter what, but what's scaring me most is my seemingly vindictive desires. I've never been like this, and I know it's out of anger, but I want her to suffer so bad. The kids absolutely hate her. Which on one end helps that desire, but I know that deep down, she is still their mother, and I don't really want them to hate her. Her parents and siblings all are mortified at her. Her sister hasn't spoken to her in a couple months. We all grew up together, so it hit hard for everyone. Again, this makes me feel great, which in turn scares me, because I don't actually want her life to go into shambles. But I can't help feel euphoric when I learn something in her life is falling apart. Both children are living with me, as they don't view their mother in a favorable light at all right now. I'm thinking about having the talk about them going to talk to her, because as of now, they refuse. The part that breaks my heart the most is that my daughter seems to be overcompensating her roles of a daughter. She makes sure to tell me how much she loves me, and is, in essence, being the perfect daughter. But I can tell it's because she knows that she isn't biologically mine, but she desperately wants me to know how much she values me. I'm actually going to talk to her tonight about that. To tell her that she doesn't have to act differently. I just really want to know how to shake the sadness and angry, vindictive feelings. I want to move forward as well as help my children move forward so they can worry about school and being teens. Please, any advice will help. TL.dr. Wife of 21 years cheated on me and my 15-year-old daughter isn't mine. I've been having sadistic or vindictive feelings towards her and I want to put those away as well as help my children move past it as well. Update. Beloved wife cheated on me and my daughter isn't mine. Update. I know it's been some time but it actually destroys me to write about it. For some clarification, we did talk about it, and it was in the fair. I just didn't want to write that part out because it physically makes me shake with anger to talk about it. My daughter and I are both in therapy. I am taking the advice of my therapist and the many commenters on my last post and am not going to force my kids to talk to their mother. They are old enough to understand the gravity of the situation and have their own feelings about it. Because of this, they will need to take their own time gathering up how they feel in dealing with it, with any help they need from me, of course. The pain my daughter is going through seems to have healed somewhat. I've gotten her to fully believe that my love for her will never change and that she will always be my daughter. Her pain seems not to be about our relationship anymore, but her newly found trust issues and trauma from the family being broken apart. She's also confided in me that she feels like it's all her fault, and that if she never brought the kid home, the family would still be together. I hugged her and let her know that none of this was her fault, and that she was only looking to do something fun with the family. She had no idea what would happen and that she should never blame herself. I've had one conversation with my STBXW, in which she begged and pleaded with me to forgive her and that she would cherish me for the rest of her life. She said it was stupid, it meant nothing, and that she regrets it 100%. She also said that she believes our love can withstand it. I told her that if our love was that strong, she wouldn't have felt the need to find sexual comfort in someone else. She is currently staying with her parents. I've communicated with her sister, and apparently she's borderline suicidal. They are trying to get her help, but she refuses, as the only thing she wants to do is see me and the children. Because of this, I'm waiting to serve her the divorce papers. I don't want to add on any more things to destroy her mental health. I've brought up talking to her with my son and daughter, to which they adamantly refused. I am going to respect their wishes and give them their own time to cope. I have this nagging feeling that she does not actually care about how it made any of us feel, and that she only cares about the fact that she's about to lose her picture-perfect family and the comfortable life that we had, and that it's her fault. I have no desires to try to fix the relationship and move forward. That's all for now. TLDR. Daughter and I are in therapy. Kids have no desire to talk to their mom. STBXW is a wreck and refuses to get help. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and hit that subscribe button to follow cheating love stories for more amazing videos. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.